Over these last days, the question has been asked again and again, where are we? What is this place where we no longer see by the light of existence? And as we become accustomed to this state of being, perhaps we need to delve more deeply into an understanding of its implications. Also, over these last days, the story of Divine Mother has been told and retold about how in 1989, at the time of the harmonic convergence, which is a time like now, when Divine Mother stood up and said to all, I have now ascended into spirit and can no longer come down. You have to reach out for me. And we can understand this very well because we know we cannot go back to seeing the way we did before. But how can we reconcile this with the necessity every moment of every day, philosophically speaking, to bring together heaven and earth, waking up every morning to the challenges, the combativeness, the questions, the decisions that have to be made on this level of life. Perhaps through story we can begin to recognize how these meet in our life, what heaven represents and what earth represents for us. So, to that end, there are several stories, one mundane and one sublime, perhaps representing these two. And the first is a story about a young woman who, again, we'll call Esther. And every day Esther would go into the marketplace to sell her wares, to sustain and support her family. But one day, when Esther was walking to the marketplace, she espied on the road one of those small money bags that many people carry. And when she picked it up, she found that it had in it 100 gold pieces. Immediately she thought to herself, perhaps if I keep this, my family will be wealthy and not need to work so hard. But then she, of course, came back to remembering, no, I am an honest being. I must find who this money belongs to. So she went into town, and it wasn't very hard because immediately she saw the richest merchant in town standing outside his store, bewailing the fact that he'd lost his purse filled with gold coins. So, of course, everyone came around and were about the task of trying to find it when Esther came up and said, But I found the purse. And it wasn't for some while that suddenly it was realized that she was speaking up. And, of course, the merchant called Bahram, he immediately grabbed the purse from her, and he had already announced that whoever found the purse would have half its contents as their reward. So everyone who was gathered around said, "Count the money, Bahram, count the money." So very carefully Bahram counted out the coins, but with a sly look on his face, he said, "This purse only contains 100 gold coins, and I have lost 200 gold coins. This girl is a thief." And of course, immediately Esther declared, "No, I am an honest person. I found this purse and it only has 100 gold coins in it." And of course, Bahram said, "You're a liar, you're a liar." And people around, of course, took sides about it. But because no decision could be made, it was required that they call on the wisest person in town, which happened to be the rabbi, much revered and loved. So he was called upon to make a decision about this dispute. And so he asked the people around, "Is Esther an honest person?" And everyone knew and avowed and averred that yes, she was known to be a kind and very honest being. But although it was not spoken loudly, it was tacitly known that Bahram himself, the richest merchant in town, was himself less than honest. But Bahram was stating again and again, "I don't have to give her anything. She's already got her 100 gold coins reward by taking what was in the purse." But then it came to the rabbi, who had to make a decision. And so the people said, "Please tell us who is right, who is the more honest." And the rabbi said, "It does not have to be judged who is right or who is wrong or who is more honest and who is not. It is very clear. This girl, Esther, has found a purse with 100 gold coins, and Bahram, the merchant, has lost a purse, he says, has 200 gold coins. So the purse that Esther has found could not be Bahram's purse." And he took the money from Bahram and gave it to Esther and wished her well. Of course, Bahram mumbled, and the people cheered because they knew truth and justice, so-called, had been served. The mundane life, existence in those worlds of dimensionality. Then there's a story of a Sufi. He was an adept of, we might say, a high order. But he was inspired to make that ultimate pilgrimage to Mecca. Is said that which brings man to his final destination, the ultimate. And so he decided to make this pilgrimage. So taking gold coins, he sewed them into his cloak and set out on the road to Mecca. But being the man that he was, he on the way made a point of visiting all the known sages, saints, who dotted the path to the great stone. He was on the last leg of his journey when he came to a place that was known to have and be inhabited by a great Sufi saint. So, going to make his greetings and obeisances, he found that this saint was a blind man, living in the greatest of simplicity, a rough hut, sitting outside on a straw bale with his grandchildren being dandled on his knee, and the chickens pecking around the yard. He greeted the Sufi by name and asked him what was his journey. And of course, the Sufi said, "I'm on my way to Mecca." "Oh," said the saint, "and what will you do there?" And he said, "I have a donation to make, and I will circumnavigate the Kaaba and bow before it, as is expected." And the Sufi saint, looking up at his visitor with his blind eyes, said, "Give me your donation. Bow before me. Circumambulate me, and you will have reached your destination." The Sufi visitor was for a moment taken aback, but then without question and a trace of doubt, he took from his cloak's edge the gold coins. He bowed and made obeisance in front of the saint, and he circumnavigated him as he would do the great Kaaba stone. He immediately went into an extraordinary state of ecstasy and knew that he had arrived at the destination that all seek. Heaven and earth, as only we can define it, every moment of our living breath, needing to bring together these seeming two. The mundane, filled with vicissitudes, challenges, chaos, decisions, fears, and heaven, the sublime, that place described. I have now ascended into spirit and can no longer come down. Where do they meet in us? Every moment with the necessity for them to merge, to enact life itself. Heaven and earth, the mundane and the sublime. With these two stories, knowing that they, like all of life, is chemistry, the great alchemy. What do they bring for us in this moment? Where do they meet in us to enable us to nod and know that we know their meaning, disparate as they are, knowing that we know their meaning, the meeting place of heaven and earth, the mundane and the sublime. Are they meeting in our mind? Are they meeting in our heart? What is this place that we can now describe as seeing without seeing? Seeing without the need for our senses. What is this place?